In the summer of 1969, as Neil Armstrong set foot on the moon and hundreds of thousands attended Woodstock, high-performance car culture on American highways was at its peak. With its signature fiberglass body and 427 cubic-inch engine block, the 1969 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray possessed a low, wide stance, feeling as if it were ready to devour the road. Most car enthusiasts only know this model through its horsepower figures and reputation, but behind it are rarely told stories of engineering, production, military testing, internal GM files, and secret traces from factory workers. Discovering 10 facts about the 1969 Corvette will change how you perceive this model, showing it is not just a sports car, but a product of ambition, controversy, errors, and American industrial pride. 1. The 1969 Corvette almost lost the name Corvette. Chevrolet once seriously considered dropping the Corvette name for the C3 generation. The name under consideration for the replacement at that time was the Chevrolet Shark. This was not a fleeting idea. It was executed methodically through design sketches, internal proposal documents, and even consumer research studies using the Shark brand. Bill Mitchell was a strong supporter of this direction. He had a personal show car named the Mako Shark and felt the design language of the C3, with its pointed nose, low stance, and muscular wheel arches, was a perfect fit for the Shark image. Renaming the car was seen as a way to completely refresh the image of the sports car line in the eyes of the public. However, Zora Arkus Duntov opposed the intent. He argued that the 15-year legacy built by the Corvette name carried more value than any new designation. Dropping the Corvette name could lead the public to believe that GM was ashamed of its own history. Ultimately, the Corvette name was retained and the Stingray suffix continued to exist. But the decision-making process was actually much closer than fans ever imagined. 2. The 1969 Corvette was made slightly smaller than the 1968 model. Chevrolet quietly adjusted the body dimensions of the 1969 version compared to the 1968 model. Although the wheelbase remained at 98 inches, several exterior dimensions were tightened, most notably the doors, which were nearly 1 inch narrower. These changes were subtle, small enough that customers could hardly notice the difference when viewing the car in a showroom. The primary reason for this decision was body rigidity. The 1968 Corvette had received numerous complaints regarding body flex. Previous owners frequently reported squeaks, rattles, and a lack of structural integrity while driving. To address this, Chevrolet had to absorb significant tooling costs to redesign the entire door stamping system. Despite being a major engineering investment, the company did not include this information in any sales literature or advertisements. The practical result was that the 1969 version operated noticeably more solid and stable. This was a critical mechanical improvement that Chevrolet kept hidden as a production secret rather than disclosing it to consumers. 3. Some cars left the factory with misstamped engine codes. During late 1968 and early 1969, the Tonawanda engine plant was running at full capacity. Amidst that production pressure, a batch of small block engines destined for the standard Corvette version was stamped with the wrong suffix codes. The number of cars affected by this incident is estimated to be between 80 and 120 units. General Motors discovered the error before these cars reached customers. However, the company decided not to recall the cars, not to restamp the engine codes, and provided absolutely no notification to dealers or buyers. The flawed batch was sold to the market as is. This silence left complex consequences later on. The cars from this production batch caused major trouble in the matching numbers authentication process for collectors. Some owners found themselves suspected of having replaced the engine or falsified the car's original records. 4. The hidden wiper mechanism almost led to a federal investigation. The 1969 Corvette featured a wiper system hidden under a door and operated by vacuum pressure. Aesthetically, this was a beautiful, modern design detail that made the overall bodywork cleaner. However, in real-world conditions with heavy rain, the wiper system required significant vacuum force to operate, leading to direct competition for this resource with the power brake booster. Was this design truly safe when braking force dropped at the exact moment road surfaces were slippery and visibility was at its worst? This technical conflict led to the U.S. Traffic Safety Agency receiving complaints and opening a preliminary investigation. Chevrolet immediately responded with test data, arguing that the reduction in braking force remained within acceptable limits. As a result, no official recall was issued. Nevertheless, Chevrolet quietly redesigned the vacuum hose routing on cars produced thereafter. This quiet fix inadvertently created special value for car restorers. Today, simply by looking at the vacuum line layout under the dashboard, they can easily distinguish between early production and late production cars. 5. There was once a 1969 Corvette with an all-aluminum big block engine. Chevrolet once tested a Corvette equipped with an all-aluminum 427 big block engine. This model does not appear in official production records. The technical goal of the project was to reduce front-end weight, thereby improving handling and overall weight distribution. The prototype was assembled with the aluminum 427 engine and a 4-speed manual transmission and put into test runs over a distance of more than 40,000 miles. Recorded results showed that this power plant produced horsepower equivalent to the traditional cast-iron engine, but helped the car shed approximately 150 pounds of weight. This refinement brought a noticeable improvement in steering feel. With those mechanical advantages, why did this engine block never appear on the production line? The core issue was that the aluminum structure caused the engine to run hotter, requiring a different cooling chemical. Along with that, the engine also began to show signs of early cylinder wear. These drawbacks led to the decision to completely cancel the development program. The prototype is believed to have been crushed in the 1970s, and although there are rumors of the existence of a single photograph capturing this model, it has never been publicly released. 6. The 1969 Corvette T-tops leaked even before production. Chevrolet already knew about the water leak issue on the 1969 Corvette's T-top roof well before mass production began. During testing, water frequently entered the cabin through the area directly above the driver's left ear. Faced with this reality, engineers proposed adding a secondary weather stripping system to seal the gap. However, this fix was rejected by management. The reason was not excessively high production costs, but because the change required a slight adjustment to the roof structure, a move that could disrupt the production line being operated with urgency. As a result, water leakage became one of the most common customer complaints during 1969. Only after the cars had been on the road for some time did Chevrolet proceed to revise the weather stripping design during production. For today's car restorers, this design flaw has become a key identification mark. Early production cars often show signs of water damage on the left side of the headliner, whereas late production cars typically encounter this issue less frequently. 7. The L88 was the most powerful engine, yet Chevrolet advised customers not to buy it. Out of the total production in 1969, only 1,045 Corvettes were equipped with the L88 engine option. This engine block was officially rated by Chevrolet at 430 horsepower. However, many independent dyno tests have proven that its actual output exceeded 500 horsepower. Notably, the company had no desire to sell this option widely. Chevrolet intentionally created barriers to make the L88 as inaccessible as possible. This option came with a high price tag, mandated the removal of the heater, required a heavy-duty cooling package, transistorized ignition, and necessitated moving the battery to the trunk. Dealers were even instructed to explain every inconvenience in detail to actively discourage customers from purchasing it. Chevrolet's goal was clear. They wanted to ensure that only those who truly understood racing would order this configuration. Despite dealer warnings and the inconveniences of ownership, over 1,000 people still chose to buy the L88. Those limitations at the time inadvertently turned the 1969 L88 Corvette into one of the most expensive collector cars in the history of the model line. 8. The 1969 Corvette once stood on the verge of being discontinued. In the late 1960s, the GM Corporation held serious debates regarding the future of the Corvette. Although this model provided a very strong brand image for the corporation, financial reports revealed an economic paradox. Profits generated from the Corvette were not high when compared to other popular commercial models like the Camaro or Chevelle. Facing revenue pressure, an internal proposal was made to discontinue Corvette production after 1972. Instead of maintaining a separate sports car line, the alternative under consideration was to create a sportier version of the Camaro and affix the Corvette badge to it. If approved, this decision would have ended the independent existence of this car line within Chevrolet's product portfolio. The factor that helped the Corvette escape this death sentence was the persuasive efforts of Zora Arkus Duntov. He demonstrated to GM leadership the irreplaceable symbolic value of this model to the corporation. Additionally, dealer surveys indicated that Corvette customers possessed an extremely high level of loyalty. Another critical reason was that GM feared Ford would immediately capitalize on the void left by the Corvette to aggressively promote the Mustang, thereby completely dominating the American sports car segment. Ultimately, the Corvette was retained for continued development. 9. The U.S. Army once used the 1969 Corvette to test materials. In 1968, the U.S. Army Materials and Mechanics Research Center entered into a collaboration with the GM Corporation. The core objective of the project was to study the load-bearing capacity of the fiberglass body on the Corvette line, while simultaneously evaluating the application potential of lightweight composite materials in military equipment. To implement this, 4 1969 Corvettes were purchased through a civilian contractor. Using this third party aimed to maintain secrecy, avoiding a direct link between the military and a commercial sports car. These cars then had to undergo a series of rigorous tests, including ballistics, blast pressure, and temperature cycles ranging from -60 degrees Fahrenheit to over 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Recorded results showed that the fiberglass material performed well in some cold weather and blast pressure tests. However, military engineers also discovered that this material became too brittle when exposed to extremely low temperatures. Upon completion of the research, these vehicles were not returned, but were recorded as end of study, most likely having been completely destroyed. This detail shows that the 1969 Corvette truly once served as a material research subject for military purposes rather than just a common speed machine. 10. The final 1969 Corvette had a secret message behind the dashboard. The final Corvette of the 1969 production year left the assembly line at the St. Louis plant with a secret mark that was not part of the official rollout process. During a restoration project in the 1980s, a message was discovered on a metal brace hidden behind the dashboard. The text read, "Last one, we built every single one. Don't forget us." Below this message were the initials of 10 workers. Researchers later made efforts to track down and identify some of the individuals who left this mark. The results showed that 3 of the initials perfectly matched the personnel records of employees working at the St. Louis plant in 1969. Notably, 2 of these workers were still alive at the time the message was discovered. They confirmed that this was an underground tradition carried out non-publicly and entirely outside the control of plant management. This was simply a way for the assembly line workers to leave a personal mark on the product they had devoted so much effort to. The 1969 Corvette is not just a powerful American sports car with a beautiful design or a large engine block. In reality, it is a collection of a series of technical decisions, internal debates, production errors, secret tests, and the dedication of the workforce. This model is memorable not just for its horsepower, but for the people who designed, debated, assembled, and preserved it throughout history. Among the facts just mentioned, which one did you find most surprising? Leave a comment about the model or the historical secrets you want to see explored next, because it is stories like these that create the enduring appeal of American automobiles.